In this video, I'm going to talk about expectations versus reality in the Philippines. Stay tuned. One of the things that people do expect if they're coming out to the Philippines for the first time is I think a lot of people in their mind almost expect it to be just extremely dirt poor and third world and no modern amenities. And the reality is a lot of places, Makati, BGC, you could go to Angeles, Cebu, Dumaguete, you have a lot of modern places. You've got Starbucks, you've got the malls, you've got modern shops, throughout the malls. You're going to see stores that you would find in the U.S. And I also think that a lot of people just don't really quite get that. I guess the Philippines technically isn't third world by definition. I don't know what the correct label would be for the Philippines, maybe second world or what, I'm not sure, but it is moving out of third world. It's no longer a third world country, in my opinion. So I think that's one expectation that people have is they just expect to come out here. They think it's just going to be so much poverty, and granted, you do see poverty in some areas, and it's very poor, and you see a lot of poor areas. Absolutely, that is true. But there's also a lot of nice parts of the Philippines that you have nice modern amenities and beautiful resorts. So that is one. Number two, I think I would almost call it a Marco Polo syndrome, where they think they're going to come out here and people are going to just fall over looking at them and staring at them, and they're going to be the first foreigner that this Filipina has seen. And the reality is, now in 2019, heading into 2020, foreigners are all over the Philippines. It's no longer a place that amazes, foreigners like it used to. In other words, when you come out here and you go to like Cebu and Manila and Dumaguete and a lot of these big cities, you're just another person walking down the street, really. That's the reality. Yes, they will look at you. Some will find you very attractive. Some will also, they'll look at you for financial freedom, and some are just, they want to experience a foreigner. Okay? So that is reality, but don't expect them to fall over themselves trying to get at you that you're just something special. If you go to a lot of these cities, honestly, it's not what you would expect. Now, there are some places still in the Philippines, Samar, Leyte, places in Mindanao, places that don't get many foreigners, where the expectations kind of do match the reality of it. Now, but for the most part of the Philippines, no. The reality is they're not staring at you and falling all over themselves trying to get a foreigner. Okay, it's not like that. Not anymore. Maybe back in the 1980s and even part of the 90s, but the reality is that the world is ever shrinking, and with modern day, social media, everybody's in touch. A girl from the deepest province is online and she's chatting with a foreigner. It's no longer like 80s and 90s where they may have never spoke to a foreigner, they may have never even seen a foreigner. Those days are quickly going, and so that's the reality. Last thing I wanted to talk about is the expectation that even if you're elderly, let's say 75, or let's say you're very overweight, 300 pounds, a lot of guys will expect that this won't make a difference, and they can come out here and they can still just have any girl they want, just the pick of the litter. And the reality is that's not completely true. As the Philippines becomes a bigger and bigger destination for a lot of foreigners, there are even more younger foreigners coming all the time. And now it's not just a place where a guy who has worked his whole life, retired at 62 or 67, and then comes out to the Philippines to live. Now, because there are so many digital nomads now, people can do a lot of work online. And so a lot of younger people are coming out to the Philippines. And not only are they coming out here, but they're able to live here and they're able to work and they're able to live very inexpensively. Now, that's a whole other topic I would talk about, about as far as earning money for Social Security and stuff like that, whether I think it would be a wise decision to come out at such a young age, but that's a whole different story. But the point is older guys, and I include myself in this too, now have more competition than ever before. They have just the amount of foreigners here, just more and more. The amount of younger foreigners, also a lot more. Now, again, you can get out to places where there still are not a lot of foreigners, and if you take the number of foreigners versus the number of single Filipinas, of course, the number is still far, far greater of all these single Filipinas. So, reality, is it hard to find a younger, nice girlfriend? No, it's not. But it is slowly, over the years, going to get harder and harder because they have many more choices. They don't just have to settle for a 75-year-old guy or a guy who's 300 pounds or whatever. And let's be honest. If you take a young Filipina, let's say a Filipina who's 25 years old, does she want to really be with the 65-year-old guy? Or if she had a choice and could be with a 30-year-old, fit guy, who is she going to choose? I mean, come on, let's be honest. She's probably going to choose the younger guy who's fit, And just like we want somebody younger, I mean, a Filipina probably wants somebody younger too. Now, granted, they do want financial security. They want somebody who's going to take care of them, somebody who's not a chick boy, and somebody who's serious and wants to settle down. And maybe they don't see that in a younger guy. So maybe that's where an older guy does have an advantage. You've got the financial freedom. Maybe you've already retired, and you're not working. You can spend more time with her. So, yeah, we have that. But the reality or the expectation that you can be really old and maybe grossly overweight and come out here and just get any girl, the reality is that is not totally true, okay? It is not totally true. It's quickly disappearing, and like I said, I think those days eventually might even go away at some point. Who knows? We just don't know. But it seems to me that it's kind of heading that way. Just being in Dumaguete or Cebu, I've noticed over the years that I see more and more young guys all over the place, and I see a lot of attractive Filipinas with these young guys. So, like I said, let's be honest, they're probably going to prefer a younger guy versus an older guy. And even Davao, for example, the first time I went to Davao 5 years ago, I didn't see hardly any foreigners, and fast forward 5 years, I still don't see tons of foreigners in Davao, but I certainly see a lot more than I ever did 5 years back. So, guys, just just prepare yourself. Your expectations versus reality are going to be a little different, especially if you're coming out here for the first time. Guys who live in the Philippines or have lived here in a few years, I guarantee you guys have noticed the change as well. Comment down below, let me know. But I've certainly noticed the change, and so anyway, just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on this. Go ahead, comment down below and carry on the conversation. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, stay up to date. And guys, if you want exclusive video content that you can only find through my Patreon account, my marriage and dating workshop, you can head over there at Gio in the Philippines. On my Patreon account, you can find that down in the description. See you guys next time. Bye.